Sef Gonzales was born on September 16 in 1980, in Baguio, Philippines. His father, Teddy Gonzalez, age 46, was a lawyer. His mother was Mary Loiva Gonzalez, age 43. The couple married in 1977. Sef had a younger sister, Claudine, who was born in 1983. In 1990, when Sef was only 11 years old, a violent earthquake with the magnitude of 7.7 struck the island of Luzon. The event was caused by movements along the Philippine Fault and Digdig Fault within the Philippine Fault system. The earthquake's epicenter was near the town of Rizal, Nueva Ecija, northeast of Cabanatuan City. Over 1,600 people were killed, with most of the fatalities in central Luzon and the Cordillera region. The earthquake destroyed the Gonzales business and home, so the family migrated to Sydney, New South Wales. They were granted refugee status. They purchased land and built a home in North Ryde. By the late 1990s, Teddy Gonzales pre-qualified as a lawyer and set up a successful law firm, which focused on immigration law. His wife, Loiva, worked in his law offices as the office manager. Teddy and Loiva were devout Catholics who were strict on their children. They also had high expectations for the children to do well in school. It was expected that their son go into law or medicine. Sef wanted to go into music and singing, but his parents pushed him toward medicine or law. Sef attended Parramatta Marist High School. After graduating, he studied medicine at the University of New South Wales, but withdrew after 2 years and enrolled in law at Macquarie University. Sef did not perform well in school, and was threatened with being expelled. He was often late, turning in assignments and missed exam dates. So he tried to falsify his grades, but his sister, Claudine, let their parents know of his deception. When his parents found out, they threatened to take away the car he loved, a green Ford Festiva. Sef also argued with his mother over his girlfriend that she did not approve of. His parents threatened to disinherit him. Sef worked part-time for his father at the family's law firm. Claudine attended high school in Melbourne, Victoria, and lived at the school dorms. On July 9 she turned 18 and was visiting her parents over the weekend to celebrate her birthday. On July 10 in 2001 at around 4 p.m. Sef left his father's law firm and headed home. At around 4:30 p.m. he grabbed his baseball bat he kept in his car, and on his way through the kitchen he armed himself with 2 kitchen knives. He entered his sister's bedroom and attacked her while she was studying. He strangled her, hit her over the head 6 times with the baseball bat, then stabbed her several times with one of the knives. After killing his sister, Sef waited for his mother to arrive home. At 5:30 p.m., Loiva entered the home. She was immediately attacked with one of the kitchen knives in the living room. He stabbed her in the neck, face, chest and stomach. At around 6 p.m. Sef's aunt visited the house. She noticed her nephew, Sef's car and Claudine's cars in the driveway, but the house was dark and eerily quiet. She found this very unusual since the family owned 6 small dogs. She noticed movement inside the home, but she was scared and decided not to enter with her son. At around 6:50 p.m. Sef's father, Teddy, arrived home and entered the home. As soon as he entered, he was attacked and stabbed in the neck, back, stomach and chest. The stab wounds tore through his right lung, his heart and partially severed his spinal cord. After murdering his family, Sef got rid of the knives and his clothes, as well as a size 7 running shoes. He took a shower, then painted the words "Fuck off Asians, KKK" on the wall in the house in an attempt to lead investigators into believing this was a hate crime. Sef then drove to a friend's home, arriving at around 8 p.m. where the two went to Planet Hollywood and ate, then went to an arcade and played games. Later that night, he dropped off his friend and returned home. At around 11:48 p.m. he called the police emergency line advising them he found his family's bodies. He then ran to his neighbor's home telling them his parents had been shot. He also claimed he chased off the intruders. The neighbor was sympathetic but refused to enter the home with Sef. Another neighbor who heard the noise offered to help. He said Sef straddled the bodies of his parents and called out "Papa, Papa" and "Mummy, Mummy." Investigators at first thought the Gonzalez walked in on a robbery in progress and startled the perpetrators, resulting in their deaths. However, further investigations squashed that theory. There was no forced entry and nothing was missing. Police believe the murderer staged the scene with some minor ransacking. None of the victims' cash was taken either. The medical examiner determined that Claudine died of a combination of being strangled, blunt force trauma to the head, and stab injuries. Loiva died from multiple stab wounds. Her stab wounds were so aggressive that her windpipe was completely cut in half. Teddy died from stab wounds as well, but he also had defensive wounds showing he tried to fight off his attacker. Also, the crimes happened over a 3-hour period. If the family walked in on a robbery, it was highly unlikely they would stick round over 3 hours waiting on each family member to arrive home. Police also looked into the graffiti on the wall, thinking it could lead them to the killer. However, they also knew this was more than likely just something to throw them off trail. Superintendent Mick Plotecki led the investigation team. He said, "Any murder is a tragedy. But in this case, 3 members of a family are dead. I consider this an outrage." The murders were disturbing to the area, which was known for its low crime rate. The shocking details of the family murders was unfathomable to the community. People feared that the killer would strike again. Later that month the family funeral was held at the Holy Spirit Church. At the funeral Sef sang the cappella rendition of Mariah Carey's One Sweet Day and later appeared on television asking for the killers to turn themselves in, telling the reporters he wanted justice and offering a $100,000 reward for information. He said, "3 corners of my world are now gone. The best way I could possibly describe my father is that he was my hero and role model. My mother was the heart of the family. She was the heart of her friends and anyone who knew her. My sister was the life in the family. She was an expert in smiling and made us all believe that life should be taken lightly." He went on to say that when it was time for him to settle down and have a family of his own, he would name his son after his father. He spoke of the richness in his father's eyes before emotionally stating he would never know the meaning of his own name. His father had promised to tell him on his 21st birthday. 3 days after appearing on television he went to his father's accountant and inquired about his father's retirement fund. Just a few days later he sold his parents' cars and pawned all of his mother's jewelry. Police began to suspect Sef when he showed no emotion, and his claims of performing CPR on the victims, but evidence proved to the contrary. Also, the clothes Sef was wearing on the night of the murders had the same paint on one of the sleeves that was used to spray paint the message on the wall. Also, shoe print evidence matched an empty shoebox found in Sef's closet even though the actual shoes were missing. Police knew that with the shoebox in his possession he owned a pair of the same shoes. With the mounting evidence police began searching his internet search history. They also began listening in on his phone calls and put him under surveillance. Evidence from the search history provided that Gonzalez had been trying to murder his family for some time. His computer showed that in the early months of 2001, between February and July, he had made numerous searches about various different types of poisons. His searches led him to 2 extremely lethal poisons made from 2 unique plants. He sent several email inquiries to the suppliers of these plants. One supplier in Australia, and the other overseas. Sef ordered seeds from the suppliers. The seeds arrived on June 29 in 2001. Just 2 days later his mother started complaining of not feeling very well. By July 3 she was feeling so sick that she had to be admitted to the hospital. The doctor determined that she had an inflammation of her bowels, and it was most likely caused by food poisoning. A day before Sef Gonzales was released from the hospital, a well-known manufacturer received an anonymous letter claiming that 3 of their products had been poisoned. The note also said, "This is what you get for treating your employees like garbage." The Australian Quarantine Inspection Service and the authorities both received letters as well. The letters claimed to be from employees who were concerned about the food company. In the letters, the employee claimed they had received a tip from an unknown person that the products had been poisoned, and that they should urge the company to withdraw the products from the shelves. When police examined the letters forensically, they discovered that at least one of the letters had Sef Gonzales' fingerprints on it. And police were able to match the letters to the printer Sef owned. Also, Sef's bedroom contained a bottle of strange liquid. When it was sent to the lab, it was determined to be poison made from the plant seed Sef had ordered. He had steeped them in hot water to extract the poison, then put it in his mother's food. He had extensively researched poisonous toxins, then ordered toxic plant seeds. His entire family had fallen ill, but survived. He was the only one who did not fall ill with the sudden but unknown illness. Also, Gonzalez' fingerprint was matched to the packaging the poisonous seeds were delivered in. Police spent time gathering evidence. Time passed, and the next year it became public knowledge that Sef was the main suspect in the murder of his family. Due to him being suspected in the murders, the family's multi-million-dollar estate was frozen, and Sef could not gain access. He was also not able to claim any victims' compensation. Sef again went to the media telling them how the police suspect him. A few days later, on June 2 in 2002, an unknown person called police to report an assault. When police arrived at the location, they found Sef lying on the side of the road with minor abrasions to his face. He claimed he was going to the video shop when he was assaulted, and forced into a car. He claims a bag was put over his head, but he was able to escape. He said the assailants told him to take back the reward offer, then hit him over the head with a piece of wood. He pretended to have amnesia, couldn't breathe, and was having severe pain even though he only had a few scratches to his face. Sef was taken to the hospital, but the physician could not find any signs of head trauma, and the scratches to his face were very minor. After a thorough investigation, police determined that Sef staged his own abduction. Police believe he was trying to make it appear that the killer of his family also was coming after him as well. He claimed the 2 threatening emails were from a hitman. He claimed the email said he was supposed to die that night, that he was lucky he wasn't home at the time they murdered his family. When police asked him to show them the emails, he claimed the emails self-destructed with some sort of embedded program. Several neighbors advised of Sef's car being in the driveway at the time the murders took place. Sef was interviewed several times throughout the investigation. Each time, as police would learn new evidence that proved his previous alibi to be false, he would give a new story. At first he claimed to be waiting in the driveway on the night of the murders before visiting his friend. He later claimed he was with a prostitute at the time of the murders. He claimed he didn't tell them about this in the beginning because he was ashamed. But the prostitute he claimed he was with was out of town on the day of the murders, and proved it with receipts. It also came out that Sef had put down a deposit on a luxury car, a Lexus, costing over $175,000. His deposit was $5,000. He told the salesman at the dealership that he was going to inherit $1.5 million. However, he was never able to pay the rest due to being a suspect in the murders. On June 13 in 2002, Sef Gonzales was arrested. He was charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of threatening product contamination. The judge refused bail and he was held in Silverwater Correctional Center. While awaiting trial, he was not allowed access to the family's estate to fund his defense. He was given legal aid since he could not afford a lawyer. His trial began in April of 2004 and ended in May of 2004. The prosecution said that Gonzalez was scared because of his poor performance in school that his parents would take away his car and other support, and he would become the sole beneficiary to their money and property. The prosecution brought in several witnesses proving that Sef was a pathological liar. He not only lied to his family but to everyone who knew him, and about everything. He told friends he was a successful businessman, a model, and even a singer. And he even set up a fake fan website for himself. He even at one time claimed he had cancer. During the time police were investigating Sef Gonzales, he claimed he had a record deal, and that he was also training for the Olympics. On May 20 in 2004, Sef Gonzales was found guilty on all 4 charges. He was sentenced on September 17 in 2004 to 3 concurrent life sentences without the possibility of parole. Justice Bruce James told the court, "I consider that the murders show features of very great heinousness, and that there are no facts mitigating the objective seriousness of the murders, and hence the murders fall within the worst category of cases of murder at common law." Outside of court, Sef's aunt, Emily Luna, said, "It's actually a very sad day because we love Sef very much. We will always love him." In June of 2007, Gonzalez was granted the right to appeal his conviction and sentence. The Supreme Court made the decision that statements taken by police on the night of the murders were inadmissible due to Gonzalez not being warned of his rights. However, the appeal was dismissed, and determined there was no miscarriage of justice. He remains behind bars. The home where the murders took place, located on 6 Collins Street, was put up for sale. Due to the nature of the crimes committed at the residence, it did not sell for 3 years. In October of 2004, a Taiwan couple agreed to purchase the home. However, the couple were not informed of the murders by the realtor L.J. Hooker. The prospective buyers only found out in the newspaper. The realtor, L.J. Hooker, refused to let the couple out of their contract to purchase, and stated they had no obligation to disclose information about the murders. However, after negative publicity, they eventually refunded the couple their money and let them out of the purchase contract. The realtor was also fined $21,000 by the New South Wales Office of Fair Trading. After this happened, the New South Wales government made it illegal to fail to disclose information that would have substantial impact on the value of a property. In November of 2005, the house was sold for $720,000, $80,000 below the previous sale price, to a buyer who was given full disclosure of the murders. Sef Gonzales wanted to be famous. Instead of earning fame, which takes years of sweat and tears, he decided to fake it with a website and fake pictures. He was a pathological liar and a narcissist. He forged his college grades to keep his parents from finding out he was failing. He knew if they found out they would take away their money, the car they purchased him, and disinherit him from their will. Instead of owning up to his lies, and being a man, he decided to murder his entire family. One by one he slaughtered them like animals. He was evil and cruel, and gave his family no mercy. Someone who can murder their family deserves far worse than the courts gave this slimy monster. May the victims in this case rest in peace. That concludes this episode. Keep your eye out for the next volume, coming soon. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.
want to help support the channel you love, and get something in return? Simply purchase some Elizabeth's Chronicles merch. We have coffee mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, cozy blankets, beach towels, phone covers and more. Use the coupon code EC10OFF4U and get 10% off your order. The link to order is in the description area below this video. Thanks for helping Elizabeth's Chronicles continue to make the videos you love.